Talking to Rodrigo earlier on, Gary, I noticed that Ghana is the only team who actually took points from Germany. They're the only squad that were very close to beating Germany, the eventual champions. Do you think this is the year Ghana goes all the way? Will the winner come from Group C? As I look Group C and Group D, they're very, very competitive. I think most of the contenders come from those two groups. We have Ivory Coast and Cameroon in Group D, and of course Senegal and Ghana. Will one of these four teams win the World Cup, in your thoughts? And how about a surprise package? Will there be someone, will it be one of these squads that eventually rises up and surprises everyone? As was the case of Zambia a few years ago.
It's easy to look at Group C and D and think that, you know, the winners are going to come from there because of the sheer amount of quality that is in those two groups. But we haven't considered something. Maybe Group C and D may cancel each other out and nobody will be left. Maybe, you know, because there's so much quality that the winner of Group C plays the runner-up of Group D. The runner-up of Group C plays the winner of Group D. So what if those two combinations cancel each other out, and then by the time they get to the quarterfinals, the people in Group A and Group B, you know, have built themselves sufficiently over the tournament to become good enough to be able to, because maybe if you top Group C or you're runner-up in Group C or the same from Group D, you might have spent so much energy in trying to beat the teams in your group that by the time you get to the quarterfinal and semi-final, you're burnt out.
Sure.
And we see it in big competitions all the time. So anytime people say that, I'm like, hey, chill. I mean, it can go both ways. And so, yes, we might have the winner of Algeria, South Africa, Ghana, Senegal, or Mali, Guinea, Cote d'Ivoire, Cameroon going all the way. But you have to look at the other groups as well. Because if you check Group A, where you have Equatorial Guinea, you have, you know, Burkina Faso, you have Gabon and Congo. If you have these teams getting into the quarterfinal, they are able to make a win and they get to the semi-final and meet the guys in Group C and D who might be tired at that point. It might be easy. We saw that definitely. Yeah.
One squad we haven't spoken about, one of my favorites, is Algeria. I mean, there's a lot of quality on that side, especially with Fagouli, who's one of the creative midfielders, one of the premier creative midfielders, you know, of Africa. In my opinion, you have Tider.
Yeah, sure.
You have a lot of quality, a lot of European-based quality. Do they have a chance to do anything this year?
Yassin Brahimi is a name you haven't mentioned as
Porto. Yes. I'm a big Porto fan.
He was a BBC Africa football
Dragawi.
this year, and yeah, he's an amazing talent. I was in Nigeria last week, and I saw him awarded the Young Player of the Year, and I thought that was a conciliatory award because, you know, they didn't put him in the top three. I personally would have put him in the top three and put him in place of Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang in the top three for the African Footballer of the Year awards, but I mean, they didn't give it to him. But speaking of Algeria, they are favorites. Everybody says they are favorites. I mean, they played Tunisia on Sunday and they looked absolutely world class. They look like a World Cup team. They look like a team on the roll, and it's very, very difficult to look past them. Even though I have made a crazy, you know, prediction that they will not make it out of Group C, because I think that there's too much attention on them, and the other teams are going to. I mean, it's a crazy prediction and can go anywhere. But if they get out of the group, it's going to be very difficult to beat Algeria, and they are one of the teams. I mean, that any common sensible person is going to tip for the trophy. So apart from them, if you go to Group B, you have Zambia, Tunisia, Cape Verde, and DR Congo. Because of the sheer, how do I put it? Because of the fact that people are not watching this group properly, it may be, just like Zambia did in 2012, the perfect tonic for these teams to be able to get something out of it. Tunisia played Algeria on Sunday, and the Tunisian coach said, oh, and Algeria are so good, they're going to win the AFCON. You know, talk like that is able to make the players feel big, but it might be what they don't need because it might make them feel complacent and all that, right? So I think that, honestly, this is going to be one of the most exciting African Cups of Nations we've had in a while. Why? Because of what I'm going to talk about. I think that if you look at the coaches, and I'm going to just talk about the European and African aspect, but if you look at the coaches, most of them are very European in the way they think. And the last time we had a very European kind of spread across board, we normally have high-scoring matches. 2008 in Ghana here, when we had the African Cup, we had 99 goals. And because if you look at the breadth of coaches at that time, most of them were European, they were attacking, they there was a lot of wing play. And 2008 was a similar year to 2014-2015. It was a year of wing play and crosses and fast breaks and attacking football and counter-attack and blistering transitions. And it means that we had a lot of goals. In 2012, especially in 2012, we didn't have a lot of goals because a lot of the teams were defensive. You know, Jose Mourinho was ruling the world with his packed defensive system after Inter.
He's a big Mourinho fan, so thank you. Thanks, Gary. Thank you. Ruining football. So, it's a beautiful game for a reason. Okay, it's African players play beautifully. In the past, there was this notion of African players being just fast, and they didn't have a lot of let's say tactical skill. Or in some of the defenders, some of the African defenders, they're playing MMA instead of soccer, like Cheick Tiote. I mean, but I think that's changing. You know, you have Yaya Toure, you have Figuli, so I think the African football is getting a lot better, and I'm very excited about seeing it. And I was going to ask you why that was going to be my final question. Why watch the African Cup of Nations? But you obviously answered it. It's going to be fast-paced. It's going to be high scoring, and it's going to be very technical. And as you said,
very, very unpredictable because you are going to see a lot of defensive howlers, goalkeepers making unpardonable mistakes. You know, it's always a feature of the African Cup of Nations where you are wondering what was this goalkeeper thinking. I mean, it's always there, and you are going to see, at least one African Football Federation having a row because of bonus because they haven't been paid. A player is going to be sent home because he's indisciplined. You're always going to have that, and you are never going to be short on stories. And I think it's one of the greatest tournaments that we have. And you were asking about surprise packages. Well, if I look at all the groups, I don't know why I feel that somebody in Group B is going to surprise us. Maybe Cape Verde. Cape Verde were the surprise package the last time. I'm looking at Cape Verde this time, and I'm also looking at South Africa. I have very high hopes for them coming in this tournament. They've been unbeaten, like I said at the start of the show, and also they are very high on confidence. They have the most number of home-based players among all the 16 teams. They have players from their league, and they are made almost entirely of players from their league. And so, I mean, we are going to see some exciting local brand of football from there as well. So that's what the African Cup of Nations is going to be, and I hope it's going to have a bigger audience. And because of social media, it's going to be the most socially explosive African Cup of Nations ever. Trust me. The coverage is going to be on more channels than ever before in North Africa. I know beIN Sport is taking it. The BBC always take it. Eurosport are going to take it. The Portuguese channels will be taking it. Even in Russia, I know that Eurosport Russia take it. In the Far East, some of the other channels in North Africa, ESPN will be having a big coverage of it online, especially Latin America. I think Fox Sports will be doing it as well. On social media is going to be the thing to look at because even with the coverage of the Asian Cup at the moment, I think social media is picking up. So you are not going to be able to miss the African Cup of Nations, especially when some of the best players have left the Premier League to go and take part.
Yeah, here in the US, it's going to be on beIN Sports, which I'm very happy about because before I would have to go into Little Egypt or go into like Harlem to watch some of the games. So I can watch them home, but some games I would definitely want to see with a crowd because you get the real sense of it, the sense of the passion. Speaking of social media, how can people follow you on social media because you're going to be right there embedded in everything?
Yeah, on Twitter, my name is at Gary Smith, GarySmith, GarySmith. So Gary Smith is the name I use on all my social media platforms. So on Facebook, Gary Smith, Twitter, Gary Smith. I'm not yet on Instagram because I'm not photogenic. So you are not going to find me on Instagram.
Gary, thank you for joining us, man.
I'm writing for a lot of sites. Yeah.
We're gonna have you on as the cup progresses and talk about what's going on with some of the key matchups and maybe that final stage of it. But again, thanks for joining us all the way from Ghana. Good luck with your team. They have a chance, a slight chance, I think. And yeah, thanks a lot for joining us in Soccer Senseis. Ellis, any final thoughts or any?
I was saying that the Africa Cup of Nations has a habit of throwing out at least 3 or 4 or 5 players to talk about in the next 2 or 3 years around the world. So you watch it and you are going to be the first to know these players. So keep watching the African Cup.
Okay. Thanks, Gary. Have a good day, man.
Thanks for joining us.
Cheers.
All right.
Appreciate it.